Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle something that can be a real headache in English, even for people who've been learning for years. I'm talking about articles. Yeah, those tiny little words, a, an, and the. But you know what? They're not as scary as they seem. We're going to make it all make sense. Let's jump right in. So, this is the big question, isn't it? It can feel like you're just guessing. Do I put a word here? Which one? It feels so random sometimes. But the good news is, it's not random at all. There's a real logic behind it, and that is exactly what we are going to unpack right now. And here it is. Seriously, this is the master key to everything. Almost every single time you have to choose an article, it all comes back to this one idea. Are you talking about a particular known thing, or are you just talking about something in a general kind of way? If you can keep this question in your head, you're already halfway there. Okay, first up, let's look at the general team. This is for when we're talking about something for the first time, or maybe just one of many different options, or the idea of something. And for this, we've got a few different tools we can use. A, an, some, and sometimes nothing at all. Now, the very first rule for using a and an is a classic, but it's super important. It has nothing to do with spelling. It's all about the sound a word starts with. That's why we say a university, right? Because university starts with that y sound, which is a consonant sound. And on the flip side, we say an hour, because the H is totally silent. The first sound you actually hear is a vowel. It's all about what your ears tell you. So when do we actually pull these out of our toolbox? Well, you use them with singular, countable nouns. First, when you're introducing something new to the conversation, like, I saw a dog. It's the first mention. It's also for talking about one of many, like, she is a teacher. She's one of millions of teachers out there. It's your go-to article for any non-specific single thing. Okay, that makes sense for single items. But what happens when we're talking generally about, a bunch of things, or stuff you just can't count, like water, or rice, or information? We obviously can't use a or an for those. So, what do we do then? For plural nouns, you've got two main options when you're being general. You can use some if you're talking about a non-specific amount of them, like, I bought some books. We don't know how many, just some. Or if you want to make a big statement about all books in general, the entire idea of books, you use no article at all. You just say, books are expensive. See the difference? An unknown amount versus the whole category. And you know what? The exact same logic works perfectly for non-countable nouns. I need some water means you need a glass or a bottle, a part of the whole. But if you say water is essential for life, you're talking about the concept of water in general. The thinking is identical. Use some for a quantity and use nothing for the general idea. All right, we've pretty much covered the general stuff. Now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of our big question. Let's talk about being specific. And for this, English is actually pretty nice to us. It gives us one single, powerful tool that works for everything, the. The is called the definite article for a reason. You use it when you are definite about which thing you mean. Both you and the person you're talking to know exactly which one it is. And the best part? It doesn't care if the noun is singular, plural, or something you can't even count. If it's specific, the is your word. Okay, let's see this in action. It's the best way to get it. So imagine I say this. I'm introducing two brand new people into our conversation. They're not specific yet, so I have to use a woman and a child. Right now, you have no idea who they are. But now, watch this. In the very next sentence, I'm talking about that same child. We've already met them, right? They're now a specific person in our little story. So the article has to switch from a to the. The child is crying. It's not just any child in the world anymore. It's the one we just talked about. So besides that main rule, there are also some situations where things are just automatically considered specific, and we always use the. Think of this next part as your handy little rule book for all those special cases. First off, things that are one of a kind. I mean, there's only one sun in our sky, right? So of course it's always the sun. Same goes for superlatives. There can only be one best or tallest, so you'd say the best student. And ordinal numbers like first, second, third, they point to a very specific place in line, so it's always the first time. Geography has its own little set of rules, too. We pretty much always use the for big bodies of water like rivers and oceans, for deserts, and for whole mountain ranges.
It's also the rule for countries that have plural names, like the Netherlands, or if their name includes words like kingdom, republic, or states. That's why it's the United Kingdom.
This rule also applies to specific famous places, like buildings and institutions. You'd say the Eiffel Tower or the British Museum. And here's a really great little shortcut. If a name has the word of in it, it almost always gets a the. So the University of Algiers or the Bank of England. Super helpful trick. We've talked about being general and we've talked about being specific. But we also saw a few times where the right answer was to use, well, nothing. This is what we call the zero article. So when is it okay to just leave that little space blank? Let's dive into the power of saying absolutely nothing. The zero article pops up in a few really common situations, and once you get the hang of them, it really starts to feel natural. The biggest rule for using no article is with most proper nouns. The names of people, cities, continents, and most countries. They don't need an article. We just say Algeria, not the Algeria. This also goes for single mountains, individual lakes, streets, and stations. Why? Because their name is already as specific as it can get. We also drop the article when we're talking about general concepts or ideas. This covers things like languages, school subjects, sports, and meals. You don't play the football, you just play football. You don't have a lunch, you just have lunch. We're always talking about the general activity, not one specific instance of it. Okay, that was a lot of information, I know, but it all ties back to that one core idea, general versus specific. So to make it super easy to remember, let's put everything together on one final, simple cheat sheet. And here's the whole game plan on a single page. Think of this as your quick guide. First, just ask yourself, is my noun general or specific? If it's general and it's a single thing, you'll grab a or an. If it's general but plural or non-countable, you'll probably use some or just nothing. But if your noun is specific, any kind of specific noun at all, it's always the. Simple as that. And finally, for most proper names, you don't need anything. So I want to leave you with one final thought. Just think about these two sentences for a second. I love dogs. That's a big general statement about all dogs, right? The whole concept of dogs. But what if I say, I love the dogs? Now I'm talking about specific dogs, maybe my neighbor's dogs or the dogs at my house. Can you feel that little shift in meaning from general to specific? That feeling, that's the key to mastering articles for good.